The sky over West City burned crimson as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the wreckage-strewn streets. Smoke curled from shattered buildings, remnants of a battle that had raged unchecked. At the center of the devastation stood Goku, his usual carefree grin replaced by a cold, predatory smirk. His once bright eyes now gleamed with a feral intensity, his golden aura flickering with streaks of ominous red. He flexed his fingers, the air around him crackling with unrestrained power. "This feels familiar," he murmured, his voice laced with a chilling amusement. Vegeta landed heavily a few yards away, his boots crunching against broken concrete. His scowl deepened as he took in Goku's transformed state, the spiked hair darker, the muscles more defined, the energy radiating from him tainted by something darker than mere Saiyan pride. "Kakarot," Vegeta spat, wiping blood from his split lip. "What the hell happened to you?" Goku tilted his head, as if considering the question. Then, without warning, he vanished. The ground where he'd stood exploded outward, and Vegeta barely had time to cross his arms before Goku's fist slammed into his guard with bone-jarring force. The impact sent Vegeta skidding back, his boots carving trenches into the earth. Before he could recover, Goku was already upon him again, a flurry of punches and kicks delivered with brutal precision. Each strike carried the weight of a mountain, forcing Vegeta to block desperately, his forearms bruising under the onslaught. With a growl, Vegeta retaliated, driving a knee into Goku's gut before following up with a spinning elbow aimed at his temple. Goku ducked, but Vegeta feinted, twisting mid-motion to deliver a crushing roundhouse kick to his ribs. The blow connected with a sickening crack, sending Goku hurtling through a half-collapsed skyscraper. The structure groaned before collapsing inward, burying him under tons of steel and concrete. For a moment, the battlefield fell eerily silent. Then, with a deafening roar, the rubble erupted outward, a shockwave of energy scattering debris like shrapnel. Goku emerged, his golden hair now streaked with crimson, his pupils slitted like a beast's. His power had surged again, the ground trembling beneath him. "Not bad, Vegeta," he taunted, cracking his neck. "But let's see how you handle this." His hands snapped to his sides, fingers curling as a sphere of swirling red and gold energy formed between them. The air itself seemed to scream as he hurled it forward, a devastating Kamehameha infused with a sinister edge. Vegeta barely had time to react, his own blue aura flaring as he crossed his arms and braced for impact. The beam struck like a meteor, engulfing him in a blinding explosion that sent shockwaves rippling across the city. When the smoke cleared, Vegeta stood panting, his armor scorched, his body trembling from the effort of withstanding the attack. His lips curled into a defiant snarl. "You've gotten stronger, Kakarot. But so have I." With a roar, his own aura erupted, his hair spiking gold as he ascended to Super Saiyan Blue. The ground beneath him fractured as he launched himself at Goku, their fists colliding in a shockwave that shattered every remaining window for miles. The two Saiyans clashed again and again, their movements a blur of speed and raw power. Goku's attacks were relentless, each strike infused with a newfound ruthlessness. He feinted left before driving his knee into Vegeta's ribs, then twisted midair to deliver a crushing axe kick to his shoulder. Vegeta countered with a vicious uppercut, his fist igniting with blue energy as he channeled his Galick gun into a point-blank blast. The explosion sent Goku spiraling through the air, but he righted himself effortlessly, licking blood from his split lip. Finally, Goku chuckled darkly. A real fight. His fingers twitched, and suddenly, the air around him warped, his body flickering with an unstable aura. His muscles bulged grotesquely, veins throbbing as his power spiked beyond reason. Vegeta's eyes widened. This wasn't just Super Saiyan. This was something else entirely. Goku's voice came out distorted, layered with something guttural. "You wanted to see my strength? Fine." His body convulsed, his aura erupting into a vortex of black and gold. The transformation was unlike anything Vegeta had seen. Goku's skin darkened, his hair lengthened, his very presence radiating an almost suffocating malice. Vegeta swallowed hard, his fists tightening. Whatever had happened to Kakarot, whatever memories had resurfaced, they had turned him into something far more dangerous than a mere rival. And as Goku lunged forward with a speed that defied comprehension, Vegeta knew one thing for certain: this was no longer a battle for supremacy. This was a fight for survival. Word count, 1,000. The battlefield was a smoldering ruin, the air thick with the scent of scorched earth and ozone. Goku, no, Kakarot hovered above the carnage, his once kind eyes now gleaming with cold, predatory focus. The Z fighters stood battered and breathless below, their disbelief giving way to grim determination. Vegeta's fists clenched, his teeth bared in a snarl. "You've fallen this low, Kakarot? Letting a few buried memories turn you into a mindless brute? Kakarot's lips curled into a smirk. Mindless? No. I finally see clearly. The weakness of this planet, of all of you, held me back. Before anyone could react, a tremor shook the ground. A fissure split the earth, and from its depths emerged a hulking, insectoid figure, Cell, reborn and more grotesque than before, his carapace glistening with eerie bioluminescence. How delightful, Cell purred, his voice a chorus of distorted tones. The mighty Saiyan reduced to a puppet of his own past, while I returned perfected. The Z fighters exchanged glances. This wasn't just a battle anymore, it was a war on two fronts. Gohan's aura flared, his hybrid Saiyan rage boiling over. Cell. You're supposed to be dead, Cell chuckled, flexing his claws. Death is a human concept. And now, I'll finish what I started. Without warning, he lunged, his tail lashing like a whip toward Piccolo. The Namekian barely dodged, countering with a point-blank Masenko that sent Cell skidding back, but the bio-android grinned, his wound sealing instantly. Pathetic. Meanwhile, Vegeta launched himself at Kakarot, their fists colliding in a shockwave that shattered nearby boulders. You're not my rival like this, Vegeta growled. Fight me as Goku, or I'll put you down like the rabid dog you've become. Kakarot's response was a knee to Vegeta's gut, followed by a point-blank Kamehameha that sent the prince crashing into a cliffside. Dust billowed as Vegeta emerged, blood trickling from his lip. Good. Now it's fun. Piccolo and Gohan fought in tandem against Cell, their movements synced from years of training. Gohan feinted left, drawing Cell's guard, while Piccolo extended his arm, stretching it like rubber to snare Cell's ankle. With a roar, Gohan unleashed a father-son Kamehameha, the beam engulfing Cell in a blinding explosion. But as the smoke cleared, Cell stood unharmed, his body shimmering with stolen energy. Your techniques are mine now, he taunted. Tien and Krillin, realizing brute force was futile, switched tactics. Krillin hurled a volley of destructo discs, forcing Cell to dodge, while Tien used the opening to summon a tri-beam, the energy cage trapping Cell momentarily. Now, Gohan, Tien yelled. Gohan rocketed forward, his fist aimed at Cell's core, but Kakarot blinked into the path, catching Gohan's wrist with a grip like steel. You're wasting your time, Kakarot said, his voice devoid of warmth. He's not the real threat. I am. The declaration hung in the air like a death sentence. Then, from the sky, a streak of blue light, Whis descended, his staff tapping the ground gently. My. This is quite the mess. Beerus followed, yawning. Honestly, Goku, I expected better from you. Kakarot's gaze flickered, somewhere deep, a spark of recognition. But it was snuffed out just as quickly. Stay out of this, God, he spat. Beerus's eyes narrowed. Oh? You're ordering me now? He raised a finger, a sphere of destruction forming at its tip. But before he could unleash it, Cell moved, his tail stabbing toward Beerus's back. Whis intercepted it with a flick of his staff, sending Cell flying. This one's learned a few tricks, Whis mused. The battlefield was chaos, Gohan and Piccolo locked in a desperate struggle against Cell's evolving tactics, Vegeta and Kakarot trading blows that cracked the earth beneath them, and now the gods weighing in. Krillin wiped sweat from his brow. We're outmatched. We need a plan. Tien nodded. We hold the line. Buy time for. A sudden roar cut him off. Broly, his emerald aura wild and untamed, landed like a meteor, his eyes locking onto Kakarot. You. He rumbled, his voice thick with fury. You hurt Chilai. Kakarot barely had time to register the threat before Broly's fist connected, sending him hurtling through 3 mountains. The Z fighters stared, stunned. Well, Vegeta muttered. That's one problem handled. But Cell was already adapting, his body shifting to mimic Broly's power. Incredible, he breathed. With this, I'll be unstoppable. Gohan's heart pounded. They were running out of time, out of options. Then, a whisper in his mind, Gohan. His eyes widened. Dad? Somewhere in the storm of Kakarot's rage, Goku was still fighting. And if they could reach him, maybe, just maybe, they could turn the tide before the world burned. The battlefield was a wasteland of smoldering craters and shattered rock, the air thick with the acrid scent of burning earth. Goku stood at the center, his once kind eyes now glinting with a cold, unfamiliar malice. His golden aura flickered, tainted by an inky darkness that pulsed like a living shadow. The others, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, circled him warily, their breaths ragged, their bodies bruised from the fight they never saw coming. Kakarot, Vegeta growled, wiping blood from his split lip. Snap out of it. This isn't you. Goku's lips curled into a smirk, his voice dripping with a chilling amusement. Isn't it? Maybe this is who I've always been. His power flared, the ground trembling beneath him as he lunged forward, his fist crashing into Vegeta's ribs with a sickening crack. The Saiyan prince gasped, skidding backward, his armor splintering. Gohan charged, desperation fueling his attack. Dad, please. His fist collided with Goku's guard, but the older Saiyan twisted, driving an elbow into his son's spine. Gohan cried out, collapsing to one knee. Piccolo seized the opening, his arm elongating to wrap around Goku's throat, only for the Saiyan to vanish in a blur, reappearing behind him with a devastating kick to his spine. As Piccolo hit the ground, a voice cut through the chaos. Goku. Bulma's scream was raw with fear. She stood at the edge of the battlefield, her hands clutching a small device, a failsafe Whis had given her in secret. You have to stop. This isn't what you want. Goku's gaze locked onto her, his expression flickering, just for a second, with something like recognition. Then it was gone, swallowed by the darkness. You don't know what I want, he snarled, raising a hand as energy crackled in his palm. Vegeta forced himself up, his body screaming in protest. Bulma, move. But it was too late. The blast surged forward, only for Gohan to teleport in front of her, his arms crossed defensively. The explosion sent them both flying, smoke billowing in their wake. A cold silence fell. Then, from the smoke, a single, shuddering breath. Gohan staggered to his feet, his gi torn, his face streaked with soot. Dad. His voice was barely a whisper. You taught me to never give up on people. So I won't give up on you. Goku hesitated. For the first time since his memories had twisted, something inside him wavered. The others saw it, the crack in his resolve, and Piccolo seized the moment. Now. He barked. Vegeta blurred forward, delivering a brutal punch to Goku's gut, followed by a knee to his jaw. Goku reeled, but his instincts roared back, his fist slamming into Vegeta's face. Blood sprayed, but then Gohan was there, locking his arms around Goku's waist. Please. Come back to us, he choked out. Goku's snarl faltered. His hands, raised to strike, trembled. And then, pain. A blade of pure energy pierced through his chest from behind. His eyes widened as he turned, meeting the cold, triumphant gaze of Frieza, who had materialized unseen. How? Goku gasped. Frieza's grin was venomous. Did you really think I'd miss this little family reunion? He twisted the blade, and Goku's knees buckled. The world seemed to stop. Vegeta's roar of fury was distant, Gohan's scream muffled. As Goku collapsed, the darkness in his aura flickered, then shattered. His eyes cleared, horror dawning as he looked at his bloodied hands, at the devastation around him. What have I done? Frieza stepped back, savoring the moment. Oh, don't stop now. Watching you destroy everything you love was just getting interesting. Goku's breath hitched. His vision blurred, but he forced himself to focus. He had one chance. With the last of his strength, he reached out, gripping Frieza's ankle. You won't win, he rasped. Then, with a surge of power he didn't know he still had, he unleashed a point-blank Kamehameha into the ground beneath them. The explosion engulfed them both. When the dust cleared, Goku was gone, vanished into the rubble. Frieza staggered, his armor cracked, his smirk wiped away. You insolent. But the others weren't waiting. Gohan's eyes burned with fury, his power spiking uncontrollably. You'll pay for that, he hissed, his aura erupting into a storm of raw energy. Frieza sneered, but for the first time, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. The battle wasn't over, but the game had changed. And somewhere beneath the wreckage, a single, fading heartbeat struggled to keep going. The battlefield was a wasteland of shattered rock and swirling dust, the air thick with the scent of scorched earth. Goku's once kind eyes now burned with a cold, predatory gleam, his aura flickering between golden and an ominous crimson. Vegeta wiped blood from his lip, his chest heaving as he glared at his former ally. Kakarot, snap out of it. This isn't you. He snarled, fists clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. But Goku only grinned, a feral twist of his lips, before vanishing in a blur. The punch came faster than Vegeta could react, a devastating blow to his ribs that sent him skidding across the ground. Before he could recover, Goku was above him, hands clasped together in a hammer strike aimed at his skull. Vegeta barely rolled aside in time, the impact cratering the earth where he'd been. Gohan lunged in, his own Super Saiyan aura flaring as he delivered a spinning kick to Goku's side, only for his father to catch his ankle midair and hurl him into a cliffside. Rocks crumbled as Gohan gasped, struggling to rise. Piccolo charged next, his arms elongating in a surprise grapple, wrapping around Goku's torso to pin him. "Now, Vegeta," he roared. The Saiyan prince didn't hesitate, his hands glowing with a concentrated final flash. But Goku's muscles bulged, his power surging as he shattered Piccolo's hold and sidestepped the blast at the last second. The energy wave carved a canyon into the horizon, leaving Vegeta panting from the exertion. Goku's laughter was chilling. "You're all so weak," he taunted, cracking his neck. "Let me show you what a true Saiyan can do." His body convulsed, his aura exploding outward in a storm of dark energy. His hair lengthened, streaked with black, his pupils vanishing into void-like emptiness. The ground trembled as he ascended into a form none had seen before, a twisted fusion of Ultra Instinct and his Saiyan rage. Gohan forced himself up, his body aching but his resolve unbroken. "We can't hold back anymore," he muttered, locking eyes with Vegeta. The prince gave a sharp nod. Together, they unleashed their full power, their auras merging into a brilliant inferno. Piccolo joined them, channeling his remaining energy into a Mekanko Sappo, the drill-like beam spiraling toward Goku. The Dark Saiyan didn't dodge. Instead, he caught the attack in his palm, his fingers tightening until the energy shattered like glass. But the distraction was enough. Vegeta and Gohan struck simultaneously, a flurry of blows aimed at his blind spots. Goku blocked most, but a well-placed knee from Vegeta snapped his head back, while Gohan's elbow drove into his spine. For a moment, it seemed they had him. Then Goku's hand shot out, gripping Gohan's throat. "You're slow," he whispered before slamming him into the ground hard enough to rupture the earth. Vegeta roared, charging again, but Goku vanished, reappearing behind him with a key blade aimed at his heart. Piccolo barely intercepted, his arm taking the slash instead. Blood sprayed as he staggered, but his other hand seized Goku's wrist. "Now!" A blinding light erupted as Gohan, battered but not beaten, unleashed a point-blank Masenko straight into Goku's chest. The explosion sent them all flying, smoke obscuring the battlefield. For a breathless moment, silence reigned. Then, from the haze, Goku emerged, his armor cracked, his breath ragged, but still standing. His grin was gone, replaced by something darker. "Enough games," he growled. His hands came together, a sphere of swirling black and red energy forming between them. The very air screamed as it grew, the ground crumbling beneath its gravity. Vegeta's eyes widened. "That's... Everyone, move," Piccolo shouted, but it was too late. Goku unleashed the attack, the world dissolving into chaos. The blast consumed the landscape, the shockwave hurling them like ragdolls. As the dust settled, only devastation remained. Goku hovered above, his chest rising and falling with exertion, but his eyes, cold, merciless, locked onto his fallen comrades. Then, a flicker. A tremor in his expression. His hand twitched, his fingers trembling as if fighting an invisible force. Deep within, a voice, his voice, struggled to surface. "And no." He choked out, clutching his head. The darkness wavered. The battle wasn't over yet. The battlefield trembled as Goku's crimson aura flared, his eyes burning with a malevolence none had seen before. The once heroic Saiyan, now consumed by forgotten rage, unleashed a devastating ki blast toward Vegeta, who barely dodged, skidding across the shattered earth. "Pathetic," Goku snarled, his voice dripping with contempt. "You were always weaker than me, Vegeta." Blood trickled from Vegeta's lip as he forced himself up, his fists trembling, not from fear, but fury. "You're wrong, Kakarot. I've surpassed you, and I'll drag you back from this madness if I have to break every bone in your body." The air cracked as Vegeta lunged, their fists colliding in a shockwave that split the clouds. Each blow carried the weight of their rivalry, their history, their unspoken brotherhood. Goku's attacks were brutal, unrestrained, but Vegeta fought with precision, exploiting every opening. Yet, even as Goku's memories of darkness fueled his power, flashes of his past life, Chi-Chi's smile, Gohan's laughter, flickered in his mind, warring against the Saiyan's bloodlust. Nearby, Gohan and Piccolo struggled to hold off Broly, whose own rage mirrored Goku's. "We can't keep this up." Gohan panted, his muscles screaming. Piccolo's eyes narrowed. "We don't have a choice. If Goku falls, the universe falls with him." With a roar, Broly charged, but a sudden streak of golden energy, Frieza, of all people, intercepted, his sneer sharp as a blade. How amusing. The great Saiyans, brought to their knees by their own kind. The final clash erupted. Goku and Vegeta's fists blurred, their auras clashing like colliding stars. Then, in a desperate gamble, Vegeta feinted left, Leaving his chest open, Goku's fist plunged straight through his guard, but Vegeta grinned. Got you. His hand clamped onto Goku's wrist, holding him in place as his free hand glowed with a final, concentrated blast. Remember who you are. The explosion engulfed them both. Smoke cleared. Goku knelt, his dark aura flickering, then dissolving. His eyes, wide, disoriented, met Vegeta's. Vegeta? The Prince of Saiyans collapsed, spent, but smirking. Took you long enough, Kakarot. Silence. Then, a sigh of relief from the others. The battle was over. In the aftermath, alliances shifted. Frieza, ever opportunistic, vanished with a promise of future entertainment. Broly, freed from his rage, was welcomed cautiously. And Goku, humbled by his brush with darkness, vowed never to take his bonds for granted again. The universe had changed. But as the sun rose over the scarred battlefield, so too did hope. The Saiyans stood together, not as rivals, but as warriors who had faced the abyss and clawed their way back. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.